2 years ago my neighbor Jim and I both decided to upgrade our equipment at the same time. We both needed a tractor of roughly the same class, power, functionality. Jim went to the dealer, and they convinced him to lease a new tractor. Look, only $2,800 a month. That's less than you'd pay on a loan. It sounded tempting. I did things differently. I found a used tractor, 4 years old, good condition, and bought it for cash. Jim laughed at me back then. You're buying junk, and I'll be riding around in a new one. 5 years have passed. Guess who's ahead now? The difference between what I spent and what Jim laid out came to almost $200,000. $200,000. That's the price of another tractor. Today I'll show you the math that dealers really don't want you to know. The math that explains why they push leasing so aggressively. And by the end of this video you'll know exactly which option to choose for yourself. Let's immediately address the main myth. Leasing seems cheap because you only look at the monthly payment. $2,000 to $3,000 a month versus, say, $4,000 to $5,000 on a loan. The choice is obvious, right? Wrong. This is a classic trick. They show you a small number and hide the big picture behind vague wording and fine print. And you know why dealers love leasing so much? Because they earn 2 or even 3 times more from it than from a regular sale. The leasing company pays them commission. Then they earn from mandatory service. Then from overage penalties. Then, when the term expires, they sell you the same tractor again. Or they sell it to the next customer as certified pre-owned. It's a gold mine. But not for you. For you it's an expensive trap. Now I'm going to take a specific example and break down 2 scenarios in detail. Real numbers. Real math. No embellishments. And you'll see everything for yourself. Stick around until the end, because there'll be a final comparison that will simply astound you. Let's go. So, scenario 1. Leasing. You come to the dealer. You need a $200,000 class tractor. Good, reliable, modern. The dealer smiles and says, "We have an excellent leasing program. Only $2,800 a month for 5 years. You calculate in your head. 2,800 times 12 months, that's $33,600 a year. For 5 years, $168,000. Less than the cost of a new tractor. Seems like a good deal." The dealer continues. "And you need a down payment, that's standard. 10%, just $20,000. You nod. "Okay, $20,000 up front, that's understandable. Sign here, here, and here. Excellent. You can pick up the tractor in a week. You're happy. You signed the contract. You'll have a new tractor. Low monthly payments. Beautiful. But let's stop and read what you signed. This is where it gets really interesting. Page 3 of the contract, fine print. Usage limit. 800 engine hours per year. 800 hours. Sounds like a lot. For the average farmer who works actively, this is very little. Let's calculate. Planting 300 hours. Harvest 300 hours. Ongoing work throughout the year another 400. Total 1,000 hours minimum. And if you have a large operation or you take side jobs, could be 1,500 hours a year. What happens when you exceed the limit? Here's what. The next line of the contract. Cost of exceeding limit. $10 for each additional engine hour. $10 per hour. Doesn't sound too scary, right? Let's calculate for an active farmer. You use the tractor 1,500 hours a year. Limit 800. Overage 700 hours. Multiply by $10, $7,000 penalty. For 1 year. Over 5 years, that's $35,000 extra. Well, okay, you'll say. I'll be more careful, I'll use it less. Fine. What about maintenance? Next contract item. Technical service must be performed at an authorized dealer according to manufacturer's schedule. This means you can't take the tractor to your trusted mechanic who charges reasonable money. No. Only to the dealer. And dealer rates are, to put it mildly, above market. Oil change at the dealer $1,200. At an independent mechanic $800. Difference $400. Twice a year, 5 years, that's $4,000 overpayment just on oil changes. Minor repairs, filter changes, all maintenance another $10,000 to $15,000 overpayment over 5 years. Next. Lessee is responsible for any wear exceeding normal. And what is normal wear? The dealer decides that when you return the tractor. Scratch on the hood. $500. Wear on the seat. $300. Dent on the fender. $1,200. On average, farmers pay $3,000 to $5,000 for excessive wear when returning a leased tractor. Now insurance. The lease agreement usually requires maximum coverage because the equipment belongs to the leasing company. This is more expensive than regular insurance for your own equipment. Difference about $500 a year. Over 5 years $2,500. Let's add up hidden costs. Overage penalties $35,000. Overpayment for dealer service $14,000. Wear penalties $4,000. Additional insurance $2,500. Total $55,500. $55,000. And that's on top of your monthly payments. But that's not all yet. The most important part is ahead. 5 years have passed. You dutifully paid $2,800 a month. You paid all the penalties. You got used to this tractor. You know every sound it makes, every quirk. It's already your workhorse. And then a representative from the leasing company calls. The contract term is expiring. What do you want to do? You have 3 options. First, return the tractor and be left with nothing at all. Second, extend the lease for a few more years, continuing to pay. Third, buy out the tractor at residual value. Residual value is usually 40 to 50% of the original price. For a $200,000 tractor, that's $80,000 to $100,000. Imagine. You've already paid $168,000 over 5 years. Plus $20,000 down payment. Plus $55,500 in hidden costs. That's $243,500. And now, for this tractor to become yours, you need to pay another $90,000. Total amount. $333,500. For a tractor that originally cost $200,000. For a tractor that's already worked 5 years and lost value. For a tractor that on the secondary market now costs $120,000 max. You paid $333,000. For an asset worth $120,000. Read these numbers again and let them sink in. Now let's look at the alternative. Scenario 2. Buying a used tractor for cash. Instead of going to the dealer and signing a lease agreement, you take a different path. You look for a used tractor of the same class. 3 to 4 years old. 2 to 3,000 engine hours. This is equipment that's gone through initial depreciation but is still fully functional and reliable. You check listings. Auctions. Private sellers. Find several options. Go to look. Here's one. John Deere, 4 years old, 2,500 hours. Price $130,000. You check. Starts well, oil is clean, hydraulics work without delays, transmission shifts smoothly. Previous owner kept a service book, all maintenance on time. Minor cosmetic defects, but that's normal for working equipment. You negotiate. Knock it down to $125,000. Shake hands. Deal. $125,000, one payment, the tractor is yours. Right now. Completely yours. You can do whatever you want with it. Let's calculate further expenses. Insurance. You don't need maximum coverage because it's your equipment. Reasonable insurance costs $2,500 a year. Over 5 years $12,500. Maintenance. You can choose where to service. Your local mechanic charges $800 for an oil change. Twice a year $1,600. Over 5 years $8,000. Parts and minor repairs. The tractor is 4 years old. The first 3 years the warranty under the previous owner covered a lot. But something might break. Budget $3,000 a year for unexpected. Over 5 years $15,000. Let's add up operating expenses. Insurance $12,500, maintenance $8,000, repairs $15,000. Total $35,500 over 5 years. Total costs. Purchase $125,000 plus operation $35,500 comes to $160,500. And now the most important part. After 5 years this tractor is still yours. And it's still worth money. A tractor that's now 9 years old, with roughly 6,000 to 7,000 engine hours if you worked actively, is worth $80,000 to $90,000 on the market. Let's take $85,000. Net ownership costs. $160,500 minus residual value $85,000. Comes to $75,500. $75,000 for 5 years of owning a working, reliable tractor. which you can continue to use further. Or sell when you want. No permissions, no penalties, no wear inspections. But numbers aren't everything. There are things that are hard to quantify, but they are very important. Freedom. When the tractor is yours, you can use it as much as you want. 1,000 hours a year? Sure. 2,000? Great. Nobody's counting, penalizing, or hassling you. You can modify the equipment for your needs. Put on different tires, add weight, install additional equipment. With leasing, any modification is a contract violation. You can service wherever you want. At Uncle Bob's, who works in the neighboring town and charges honest money. Or yourself, if you know how. Saving time and money. Tax deductions. When you buy equipment for cash, the entire amount falls under the Federal Write-Off Program, Section 179. You can deduct all $125,000 from your tax base in the first year. That's savings of about $25,000 to $30,000 on taxes. With leasing, there are no such advantages. You only write off monthly payments. Psychological comfort. You're not afraid of every scratch. Don't worry about engine hours. Don't wait for an inspector to come at the end of the term and find a reason to squeeze another couple thousand out of you. The tractor is yours, and you sleep peacefully. And most importantly, liquidity. If you suddenly need money urgently, you can sell the tractor. Literally in a week. Post an ad, find a buyer, get the money. With leasing, you can't do that. You're bound by contract for the full term. But let's be honest. I'm not saying leasing is absolute evil in any situation. There are cases when it can be justified. If you need equipment for a short term, say, for 1 or 2 seasons for a specific project, took it, worked, returned it. This can be cheaper than buying and then selling. If you want to always have the most modern equipment, some farmers prefer to update their fleet every 3 to 4 years. For them, leasing with subsequent exchange for a new model can be convenient, even if more expensive. If predictable expenses are important to you, with leasing you know exactly your monthly payment. No surprises in the form of expensive repairs. For some businesses, this is important for planning. If you have no capital at all, and a loan is unavailable for some reason, leasing is approved more easily, requirements are softer. This might be the only way to get necessary equipment. Or if you came across a really good special program. Sometimes manufacturers run promotions with very low rates, close to zero. Then the math can change. But there are few such programs, and they usually have a catch. In all other cases, and that's the vast majority of situations, for the average farmer, buying used for cash is more profitable. Much more profitable. Alright. Let's put everything together and compare both pictures side by side. Leasing a new tractor. Monthly payments $2,800, 5 years, that's $168,000. Down payment $20,000. Hidden costs, penalties, overpayment for service, were $55,500. Buyout cost at the end $90,000, if you want to keep the tractor. Total $333,500. For this you get a tractor that's worth about $120,000 on the market. Buying used for cash. Price $125,000. Operation over 5 years $35,500. Total $160,500 spent. Minus residual tractor value $85,000. Net costs $75,500. Difference. $333,500 minus $75,500. Comes to $258,000. $250,000 difference. Over 5 years. On one tractor. That's why dealers smile so much when you sign a lease agreement. That's why they offer you coffee, show you videos, tell you about low payments. Because they know this math. And they really hope you won't calculate it. But now you know. Now you're armed with numbers. Listen, I understand the temptation. A new tractor shines. Smells new. Everything works perfectly. And the monthly payment seems so reasonable. But farming is a business. And in business you count money. Smart farmers don't buy what shines. They buy what brings profit. A used tractor 3 to 4 years old, with the right choice, works just as well as new. Same power. Same reliability. But for half the price. And without the suffocating conditions of a lease agreement. If you're still considering leasing, read the contract. All of it. Including fine print. Calculate everything: payments, penalties, buyout cost, hidden expenses. And then calculate the alternative of buying used. Compare the numbers. They don't lie. Golden rule. If a deal looks too good to be true, it means you haven't read all the conditions yet. Your money, your decision. But now you know the truth. If this video opened your eyes, hit like. Subscribe to the channel for more materials about the real economics of farming business. And write in the comments, have you dealt with leasing? What's your experience? Let's share stories. And I'll return to my used tractor, which has been plowing for 7 years without problems. And not a penny of debt for it. See you in the next video. Good luck in the fields.